A stranger under the crimson sky. The sky was burning red as the sun slowly disappeared behind the rocky hills. Captain Joren stood alone near the edge of the outpost wall, holding his old rifle close. The wind was dry and full of dust. This planet, Laura 7, was quiet most days. Too quiet. He had been guarding this station for 6 months now. Far from Earth, far from home. Every day was the same. Check the fences, clean the gun, eat cold meals, sleep. But today was different. Something had fallen from the sky. He saw it about an hour ago. A flash of silver fire cutting through the clouds, then a loud boom in the distance. Maybe a meteor, he thought. Maybe space junk. But something in his gut told him it wasn't. Curious. He grabbed his mask, jumped on his hoverbike, and followed the smoke trail. The ride was short, but the silence around him felt heavy. No birds, no insects, just the hum of his bike and the wind. He reached the crash site just before the last sunlight faded. His boots crunched over broken rocks and burnt metal. A small escape pod lay broken, half buried in the sand. The hatch was open. Wires sparked. Smoke drifted up like thin ghosts. He raised his rifle. Anyone there? No answer. He stepped closer, eyes sharp, senses alert. Then he saw her. Curled, up behind the pod, between two blackened rocks was a small figure, not human. Thin arms, pale silver-blue skin. Long black hair covered her face. She was shaking, hugging her knees, like a scared child. Joren froze. Alien. Not a soldier. Not a threat. Too small, too weak. She looked barely alive. He lowered his gun slowly. "Hey, can you hear me?" The girl didn't move. He took a step closer, then another. Her skin was covered in cuts. Her suit was torn, stained with purple blood. "I'm not going to hurt you," he said gently. "It's okay." She lifted her head a little. Her eyes, deep violet, glowing faintly, met his. They were full of fear, and something else. Sadness, pain. He couldn't tell. He reached into his bag and pulled out a water bottle. He placed it on the ground and stepped back. After a few seconds, she moved. Slowly. Carefully. Her fingers touched the bottle like she didn't trust it. Then she drank. Joren sighed with relief. "You're lucky I found you. This desert gets cold at night." She didn't reply. Maybe she didn't understand him. Maybe she couldn't speak. He looked around. No signs of others. No ships. Just her. "What happened to you?" he whispered. She looked at him again but didn't speak. Joren tapped his earpiece. "Base, this is Patrol 6. I found something. I need a med kit and evac transport. Location marked." A voice crackled back. "Copy that, Captain. ETA 15 minutes. Over." He turned back to the girl. "Help is coming." She flinched at the word help like it scared her. Then she slowly shook her head. "Don't worry," he said softly. "You're safe now." But she didn't look convinced. 15 minutes passed. The medship landed with a loud hiss. 2 crew members rushed out with gear. The girl tried to run, but her legs gave out. Joren caught her before she fell. "Easy, easy. They're friends." The medics lifted her gently onto a stretcher. One looked at Joren and whispered, "What species is she?" He shook his head. "No idea. Never seen anything like her." They flew back to the outpost. Inside, the small medical bay. The girl was cleaned, bandaged, and placed in a warm bed. She didn't resist. But she didn't speak either. Joren stayed with her, watching through the glass. The medic came out and handed him a report. "Her wounds are healing fast, almost too fast. And her blood has nanites. We don't know what kind." "Nanites?" Joren frowned. "Like tech inside her?" "Yes, and very advanced. More advanced than anything we've seen." Joren looked back at her. She was staring at the ceiling, eyes wide, like she was remembering something terrible. Who was she? Why was she alone? And why did he feel like this was just the beginning? That night, as Joran left the med bay and looked up at the sky, he saw something strange. A flicker of movement, like a ship high above the clouds, watching. He didn't know it yet, but others were searching for her, and they were not coming in peace. She wasn't just a refugee. 3 days had passed since Captain Joran brought the alien girl to the outpost. The desert storms had come and gone, but she hadn't spoken a single word, not even her name. They called her Subject Blue in the medical logs. The name made Joran uncomfortable. She wasn't a subject. She was someone. She stayed in the medical bay, silent, wrapped in a soft gray blanket. Her wounds had healed too fast. No scars, no pain. Even the doctor whispered, "This girl's body repairs itself faster than human tech can track." But it wasn't just her body that was strange. She never slept. Every night Joran checked the camera feed. She would sit on the bed staring at the wall. No movement, no emotion, like a statue. But tonight was different. Tonight she moved. It was past midnight when the lights in the outpost flickered. Joran was at his desk, reviewing reports. Suddenly, a red warning blinked on his screen. Unauthorized access. Med bay. Door opened. He grabbed his weapon and ran. He reached the hallway. Cold air hit his face like ice. Strange. It wasn't supposed to be this cold. He turned the corner, rifle raised. The med bay door stood wide open, and she was gone. But the cameras still worked. He checked the nearest terminal. On the screen, the girl moved silently through the halls, barefoot, graceful like a shadow. Her long black hair floated behind her, almost weightless. She wasn't running. She wasn't afraid. She was searching. For what? He followed. She stopped at the power room, placed her hand on the wall, and closed her eyes. Joran reached the door just in time to see it. The wall lit up around her palm, strange blue symbols glowing like old code. The circuits pulsed, the air filled with static. He whispered, "What the hell?" She turned her head slowly. She had known he was there the whole time. Their eyes met. For the first time she spoke. Her voice was soft, calm, almost human. "I needed to remember." Joran lowered his weapon. "Remember what?" "Who I am." He stepped closer. "Then tell me, please." She looked at her hand, still glowing on the wall. "They chased me through 10 systems. They burned my world, they erased my name, but they couldn't take this." The lights around her faded. The outpost fell silent again. She looked tired, like holding that much power hurt her. He walked her back to the medbay. This time she didn't resist. Inside, he sat beside her. "What are you?" She didn't answer right away. Then she said something strange. "I am broken royalty." Joran frowned. "Royalty? I was born in a palace far above the clouds of my homeworld, but my people were betrayed. I was only a child when they killed my family. A scientist saved me. He changed my body, gave me protection. Nanites, speed, memory locks." Joran's voice dropped. "And the escape pod?" "He put me inside, told me to forget everything, to hide. The pod was supposed to land somewhere safe. And instead, it landed here." She nodded. "Your world has no interest to my enemies. That's why he picked it." He took a deep breath. "Who's chasing?" "You?" Her eyes darkened. "They call themselves the Dread Sun. They destroyed my people. They steal tech, rewrite genes. I was the last link to my world's knowledge. They need me. Or they fear me." Joran leaned back. This wasn't just an injured girl. This was a war refugee, a living weapon, a lost queen. He stood up. "You can't stay here. If they find you, they'll destroy the outpost. Kill everyone." "I know," she said. "They're coming." He looked at her sharply. "How do you know?" She looked up at the ceiling, as if she could hear something far away. Because they always find me. Just then, alarms rang. Incoming. Object detected. Sky Zone Alpha Joran rushed to the control room. On the screen, a dark ship hovered above the desert, silent, sleek, and black like oil. No signal. No call. A stealth vessel. He called the commander. This is Outpost J9, unidentified ship above. We have a code red. Repeat, code red. The commander's voice came through. Get to cover. We're sending support. Don't engage. But it was already too late. The ship dropped something, not bombs, not drones. A single figure. It fell like a meteor, landing hard in the sands. A soldier? A hunter? Joran zoomed in. It was a tall, armored being, glowing red lines across its chest, a long blade on its back, not human, not peaceful. He ran back to the medbay. She was already standing. He's here, she said. Who is that? Joran asked. One of their hunters. He won't talk. He won't stop. He'll burn this place to ash. Then we fight. You can't fight him. I won't let you die. She looked at him surprised. Why? She asked. Because you're not just an alien. You're not just some refugee. You're someone who didn't give up, someone they fear. He handed her a stun pistol. I'm just a human, but I'm not leaving you alone. She took the weapon, looked at it, then looked at him. You're strange, she whispered. No one ever stayed. Outside, the hunter was already moving, toward the outpost. Inside, for the first time in her life, she wasn't running. The empire that hunts her. The wind howled over the desert as the first enemy stepped into the light. He was tall, armored head to toe in black steel that pulsed with red veins. His eyes glowed like hot coals behind his helmet. On his back he carried a long blade made of obsidian metal, a living weapon that vibrated with silent hunger. Captain Joran watched from the roof of the outpost, pulse rifle in hand, heart pounding. What is that thing? He whispered. Sira stood beside him. Her silver blue skin shimmered under the floodlights. She didn't blink, didn't breathe. They call him a sunblade, she said. He is not alive like you or me. He was built from the dead, trained to hunt only one target, me. Joran swallowed hard. So he's here for you? She nodded. But he will kill anyone who protects me. No questions, no mercy. Joran looked at the distant figure. The sunblade was walking slowly toward the outpost gate, step by step, like he had all the time in the galaxy. How do we stop him? We don't, Sira said. We run. But it was too late. With one wave of his hand, the sunblade sent a shockwave across the sand. It hit the outer wall like a hammer. Alarms screamed. Lights shattered. Joran shouted into his comm. All units, prepare for breach. Lockdown protocol now. But deep down he knew. Their weapons wouldn't stop that thing. Minutes later, inside the command room, Joran and Sira watched the security feed. One by one, the soldiers who tried to stop the sunblade were thrown aside like dolls. Rifles melted in their hands. Armor cracked. Screams echoed down the hall. Sira looked away. She had seen this before. Too many times. He won't stop, she said. He was programmed to find me. My blood, my heat, even my thoughts. They guide him. Joran turned to her. Then we need to get you out of here. No, if I run, he'll follow. He'll destroy every place I go, every person I meet. No more hiding. Joran hesitated. Then what do we do? She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small crystal disc. It glowed faintly, like a heartbeat. This was given to me by the one who saved me. It's not a weapon. It's a memory, core, but inside. There's something the Empire fears. What is it? Truth, she said quietly. Proof that they destroyed my people, evidence of their crimes. If I can get this to the Alliance, they will act. They will fight back. Joran understood now. This wasn't just about saving her. This was about saving hundreds of worlds. The Empire didn't fear her powers. They feared her voice. Outside, the sunblade reached the main gate. He didn't knock. He didn't speak. He simply raised his hand and the gate melted like butter. Joran looked at Sira. You said he's not alive. Does that mean He can't be reasoned with? She shook her head. No heart, no fear, no pain. Joran sighed. Great. Sira turned. To him. You don't have to stay. If you run now, he may not follow. He stared at her, angry. You think I would just leave you? Many have, she said softly. Then let me be the first who doesn't. Sira blinked, surprised. Her eyes flickered. You're strange, Joran. Yeah, he said. I get that a lot. The final battle in the outpost began like a storm. Doors burst open. Soldiers screamed. Lights flickered and died. The Sunblade entered the main corridor. He found Joran and Sira waiting. Joran fired first. The bullet stopped in the air, frozen by some invisible field. They dropped to the ground. The Sunblade stepped forward. Sira held out her hand, and the hallway glowed. Her eyes turned bright violet. The nanites in her blood woke up, rising like dust around her body. Joran watched, stunned. Sira floated an inch, above the ground, her hair lifting like it was caught in wind. She spoke a single word in a language Joran didn't understand. The Sunblade paused. For the first time, it hesitated. What did you say? Joran asked. I said his real name, she whispered. Before he was turned into this, the Sunblade twitched. Sparks flew from his armor. Somewhere deep inside the machine something broke, and that was enough. Sira raised her hand, and a pulse of pure energy exploded from her palm, hitting the Sunblade square in the chest. He flew back through the wall, crashing into the fuel bay. Flames erupted. Joran grabbed her hand. We need to move, that bay's going to blow. They ran. Behind them, the fire grew. The outpost shook. They escaped just as the main building exploded, flames rising into the sky. The Sunblade's armor was found later, empty. His body was gone. Hours later, under a quiet desert sky, Joran and Sira sat near the ruins. He'll come back, she said. Maybe, Joran replied. But so will we. She looked at him. You lost your station. Your soldiers, yeah. But I found something else. She tilted her head. What? A cause. She smiled for the first time. The stars above them shifted, high in the sky. More ships were moving. The Empire knew she was alive now, and the galaxy was watching. The secret of the temple. The night after the battle felt quiet. But it wasn't peace. It was only the silence between storms. Captain Joran stood at the edge of the crater where the outpost once stood, his coat flapping in the cold wind. Beside him, Sira stared at the sky, watching the stars move. Her face looked calm. But Joran had seen enough war to know what quiet eyes could hide. She hadn't spoken much since the explosion. Maybe it was grief. Maybe it was something else. They won't stop, she said at last. Not until I'm gone. Then let's stop running, Joran replied. You said there's a place, a temple, connected to your memory. Where is it? She hesitated, then turned to him. It's not on any map, but I remember the feeling. I know the direction. He nodded. Then let's go. They traveled by an old sand runner, salvaged from a nearby trade post. For hours, they rode across broken valleys and glowing rock plains. The sky above them grew darker, filled with strange clouds that twisted like living things. The air buzzed with invisible pressure. They were getting close. What is this place, really? Joran asked. The last memory bank of my people, Sira replied. Built before the fall of the Sarathi Empire, it holds more than history. It holds truth. Truth about what? About the thing behind the empire that hunts me. Joran looked confused. You mean the Dread Sun? No, she said quietly. The Dread Sun is just a mask, a puppet. Behind it, something ancient watches us all. That made Joran grip the controls tighter. They rode in silence the rest of the way. At dawn, they arrived at a deep canyon, its walls etched with glowing symbols, long buried by time and sand. The entrance was hidden behind a rock shaped like a claw. Sira touched the stone, whispered something in her forgotten tongue. The ground shook. A staircase opened beneath them, leading down into the earth. This place, she said, was built to protect knowledge and to keep one terrible secret locked away. They descended. Step by step, the air grew colder, metal mixed with stone. Walls shimmered like water, pulsing softly with alien energy. Lights came to life as Sira passed. The temple knew her. They reached a chamber shaped like a circle, with mirrors floating in the air and a single platform in the center. Sira stepped forward. "Are you sure it's safe?" Joren asked. "No," she said, "but it's necessary." She placed the memory crystal into the center of the platform. A hum filled the room. Suddenly, the mirrors flickered, and then the air exploded with holograms. Glowing figures appeared, speaking in a fast, melodic language. Images of planets burning, ships falling from the sky, cities consumed by black smoke. Sira stood still, eyes wide. "These are the records of the final days of my home." Joren watched. In silence, a tall figure appeared in the center, a humanoid shape with long arms and a crown of metal light. "Who's that?" he asked. "The last queen before me. My mother." The hologram spoke in Sarathi language. Sira translated softly. "We failed. They came from beyond the outer rim, not with armies, but with whispers. They took control of minds, not planets. The dread sun was only their beginning." The image changed. Now it showed a void, deep black, stretching across stars. A shape moved inside, huge, wrong, impossible to describe. It wasn't a ship. It wasn't alive. It was watching. Joren stepped back. "What the hell is that?" Sira's voice trembled. "The Ancient One. The Mind Eater. It doesn't just kill. It erases. History, people, whole species. It turns empires into myths." She turned to Joren. "My people tried to stop it. They built the Dread Sun as a weapon to fight it. But it got inside. Corrupted it. Now the Dread Sun serves the thing it was built to destroy," Joren whispered. "And now it's after you. Because I'm the last piece of memory left. The last thread to the truth. If I die, history dies with me." Suddenly the room went dark. The holograms vanished. A new sound echoed through the temple, like footsteps, but no doors had opened. Joren raised his gun. "What was that?" Sira's eyes narrowed. "Someone else is here." In the shadows, something moved. A black drone, small, fast, covered in red lights, zipped through the air. It scanned the room and fired. Joren pulled Sira behind the platform. Energy blasts cracked the walls. Sira rolled out, eyes glowing again. Her hands lit with power. She lifted the drone midair with invisible force, then crushed it like a tin can. Pieces rained down. "They found us," she said. "How?" Joren asked. "That sunblade left a tracker in my blood." Joren looked at her arm. "Then we cut it out." She shook her head. "It's not that simple." More drones came. Dozens. The temple began to collapse. Sira grabbed the crystal and turned to Joren. "There's a way out. An old tunnel, hidden behind the throne room." They ran, deeper into the temple, through broken stone and glowing roots of forgotten machines. Behind them, fire and dust swallowed the past. But they had what they came for, a memory that could shake the stars. Outside, hours later, they emerged into cold daylight. The temple behind them was sealed forever. Joren turned to Sira. "We need to warn the Alliance, tell them everything." "We will," she said, "but first we must survive the next night." "Why?" She looked at the sky. A massive ship had appeared in orbit, blocking the sun. Black, silent, ancient, and it was looking straight at them. The choice of the human, the sky had turned black. Not with clouds, not with storm, but with something worse, a ship, bigger than a city, shaped like a shadow. It hovered above the desert without sound, its edges pulsing like a heartbeat. Nothing broadcasted. No lights blinked. No warnings came. But Joren felt it deep in his chest. This wasn't a ship meant for travel. It was meant for silence, fear, and removal. Beside him, Sira stood still. Not afraid. Not surprised. "It's the archivist," she said. "The what?" "The Dread Sun's mind hunter. It doesn't kill with weapons. It deletes you from time." Joran looked at her. "That's not possible. Then how do you explain the broken worlds? The missing systems? There are maps in your own star charts with dead zones, places no one remembers. Those are the places it's touched." Joran turned away, trying to breathe. He was just a soldier. He knew how to fight with weapons, fists, orders. But how do you fight something that erases memory? How do you shoot something that history itself forgets? Hours passed. A strange stillness fell over the land. No animals moved. Even the wind stopped blowing. Joran tried to contact command. No signal. The Alliance channels were jammed too. Cut off. "It's isolating us," Sira said, "preparing to drop its agents." "What kind of agents?" "Not machines. Not drones. Something worse." She didn't explain more. She didn't have to. By nightfall, they saw them. 6 tall, thin figures walking across the sand. Dressed in tattered robes, no weapons in hand. They didn't speak, didn't blink. But when Joran looked at them, something felt wrong. He forgot where he was for a second. Forgot why he was holding his rifle. Even forgot what day it was. Sira pulled him behind cover. "Don't look at their eyes," she said. "They infect memory, corrupt identity. You stop being you." Joran shook his head hard, trying to clear the fog. "They're mind readers?" "No. Worse. Mind thieves. If they reach you, you forget everything. Your name, your home, your purpose. Eventually, you forget how to breathe." "So what do we do?" She reached into her satchel and pulled out the memory crystal. "We go to the relay tower, hidden in the mountains. It's the only place left on this planet strong enough to send a wide broadcast to the Alliance. We won't make it past those things. You don't have to, I do." He grabbed her wrist. "No way, you're not going alone. I'm faster, they'll follow me. You can take another path and meet me halfway." He let go reluctantly, but before they split, she turned back and did something she'd never done before. She placed her hand on his chest. "Joran, if I don't make it, take the crystal. Don't let the galaxy forget." He looked at her, jaw tight. "You'll make it. You really believe that?" "I believe in you." They parted at the old canyon ridge. Sira sprinted along the rocky cliff, leading the mind thieves away. Joran moved carefully through the tunnels beneath the rock. Dark, narrow, forgotten paths left behind by miners decades ago. His light flickered. The silence was louder down there, but he didn't stop. Even when he felt the voices in his head whispering doubts. Even when he began to forget the faces of his parents. Even when he started calling out loud, just to hear his own name. "Joran," he said again. "Joran. Joran." Like it was armor. Halfway up the mountain, he found her. Sira was on her knees. Her skin was pale, her breath shallow. One of the mind thieves stood behind her, silent. Still, it hadn't touched her. Yet. But she was fighting it. Her memories were leaking. Her hands trembled. He didn't think. He acted. Joran rushed forward, grabbed a piece of tech debris and smashed it into the thing's head. It didn't scream. Didn't bleed. It simply disappeared like dust. But it had already done something to her. She looked up, eyes unfocused. Who are you?" Joran's heart cracked. "It's me. It's Joran. Remember?" She blinked, tears forming. I don't know that name." He crouched, took her hand. "Yes, you do. You trusted me. You called me strange. You said, no one ever stayed." Silence. Then a tear rolled down her cheek. "Joran." He smiled. "There you are." He picked her up and carried her the rest of the way. At the top of the mountain, they reached the old Alliance relay tower, mostly broken. Rusted, but one core still glowed. She plugged in the crystal. The system buzzed to life. A beacon lit the sky. Coded, signals rushed into the stars, coordinates, memories, names, warnings, proof. Across space, far beyond Laura 7, the Alliance received a signal. They knew now. Sira was alive. The dread sun was corrupted, and something worse waited behind it all. But the archivist ship wasn't done. It began charging a weapon, not to kill, but to erase the planet. Sira stood, weak but focused. "You need to leave," she said. Joren shook his head. "I'm not leaving. You. They want me, Joren." "No. They want to silence you." He paused. Then he pulled out something from his coat. His military tag, a tracking beacon that identified him to the Alliance fleet. He placed it into her hand. "Take this. If they erase me, you'll still exist in their memory. Joren, you once said your people erased your memories to protect you. Now let me do the same for you." Tears welled in her eyes. "You'd sacrifice your name for me?" He smiled softly. "What good is a name if no one remembers why it mattered?" She kissed his forehead and ran. As the weapon fired, a pulse swept the mountain. Everything went white. Joren stood tall, silent, smiling. In a distant Alliance command center, a signal pinged. Unknown source. Unknown species. Royal identifier confirmed. "Commander." Ravel read the message. "Prepare a fleet," she said. "For what?" the officer asked. Ravel stared at the stars. "For war. The Queen returns." Space was quiet. Too quiet. Like the galaxy was holding its breath. Deep inside a hidden Alliance command station, high above the orbit of Vega 9, generals and diplomats stared at the message playing on loop. "This is Sira of the fallen Sarathi line. I carry proof of the Dread Sun's corruption and the threat behind it. If you hear this, remember." For a moment no one spoke. Then Commander Ravel stood. "Begin the awakening protocol," she ordered. "Summon the old fleets. She's alive, and she just lit a fire under every empire watching." Far away, across dusty stars and broken moons, Sira sat alone inside a stolen transport. The ship was old, slow, barely holding together, but she didn't care. The memory crystal was safe. The message had been sent. She had done what her people died trying to do. And yet, she didn't smile. Her hand still held Joren's tag, warm, worn, scratched by time. He had stayed behind. He had chosen her, and now he was... No, she couldn't say it. Not yet. She looked into the mirror. Her face was thinner, stronger. Her eyes had changed, more violet now. More focused. She wasn't just running anymore, she was remembering who she was, what she had lost, what she still had left to fight for. "I am not finished," she whispered. As her ship drifted toward a neutral moon station, Alliance fighters greeted her escort with weapons drawn. No one trusted anyone anymore, but they recognized her face. And when she stepped out of the ship, tall, calm, wrapped in the long coat of a lost race, the soldiers lowered their weapons. A human officer stared at her in shock. "We thought your kind was gone." "You were wrong," she replied. In the days that followed, everything changed. Alliances were reshaped. Codes were broken. The truth she brought exposed decades of manipulation. Systems erased, histories rewritten, colonies betrayed, and behind it all, the black void known only as the Mind Eater, the ancient enemy puppeteering the Dread Sun. And worse, it was awakening. In secret chambers, old generals argued about risk, timing, and politics. But the soldiers whispered a different name, now not commander, not rebel queen. On the 10th day, Sira stood before the Galactic Council, not as a victim, not as a refugee, but as something more. The chamber was massive, filled with leaders from 100 worlds. Old species, new ones, robotic minds, humans, silicate walkers, bioconstructs. All watching her, she took a deep breath and spoke. I come not asking for war. I come bringing it. Not out of anger. Not for revenge. But because if we do not strike now, none of us will remain. She raised the memory crystal, now glowing brighter than ever. The enemy has already begun. They erase not just bodies, but memories, timelines, legacies. They are rewriting the galaxy in silence. Soon, you won't even remember this meeting. You'll forget why your people died, forget who you were. A murmur swept through the chamber. We have one chance, she said. Strike first, together, or vanish alone. A long silence followed. Then Commander Ravel stood. I will follow her. Then another, and another, and then the council voted, unanimous. War protocol ignited, fleet engines warmed across the stars. The Queen had returned, but not all voices were silent. In the shadows of a broken moon, a single survivor stirred from dust. His armor was cracked, his memory fractured, but his heart still beat. Joran, he coughed, climbed out of the buried ruins and looked up at the stars. Something was wrong with the sky. He felt it in his bones. The archivist hadn't erased him completely. Maybe it didn't understand. Human memory the way it understood other minds. Maybe love didn't erase so easily. His name came back slowly. Then her name. Sira. He limped toward a nearby outpost alone, broken, but alive. He wasn't done. And neither was she. Back aboard Sira's flagship, the first hybrid vessel ever forged from Alliance, and Sarathi Tech. She stood at the edge of the war deck gazing into the void. The stars were moving. Dread sun fleets had been spotted gathering near the galactic rim. But Sira wasn't afraid. Not anymore. A lieutenant approached her. Your Highness, new signal detected. It's encrypted, but familiar. She took the device and opened the file. Static, then a voice. Scratchy, tired, human. Hey, strange queen. If you get this, I'm still here. Her hands trembled. Her breath caught. I don't remember much, but I remember you. I'm coming home. A single tear fell from her eye. She turned to the stars. Ready the fleet, she whispered. We're not just going to fight. We're going to end this. And somewhere beyond the stars, the Ancient One stirred. The war had begun. But so had the legend of the human who chose to stay, and the queen who came back for him. He called her queen. She called him home. The stars were on fire. The Allied fleet hovered at the edge of the Dread Sun's last stronghold, a dead zone at the rim of known space. Ahead of them, blackness, pure and unnatural. Not just dark, but empty. Light went in and didn't come back out. Sira stood at the command deck of the Sarathi's Honor, her war cloak flowing behind her. Her eyes, now glowing with full royal fire, scanned the void. No fear, no doubt, only purpose. Behind her, commanders waited for her word. Humans, Sarathi loyalists, and even a few awakened AI stood ready. All of them had heard the same message. This is where the galaxy ends, or begins again. But Sira's mind was somewhere else. A voice echoed in her memory. Not from the void, but from him. Joran. Across the stars, deep inside a forgotten sector, Joran moved through an abandoned Dread Sun relay station. His body was injured, patched with salvaged tech. His mind still fuzzy, but his purpose burned brighter than ever. You said you wouldn't leave me behind, he whispered, and now he was catching up. He had traced her signal hidden in Alliance networks, found escape codes, tracked the fleet's path. He wasn't a captain anymore. No rank. No title, just a human chasing a queen. As Sira prepared her final briefing, a young officer rushed in. Your Highness, he said breathlessly. You need to hear this. He played the audio. Joran's voice, rough, cracked, but real. Sira, I found something. It's not just a weapon, it's a lock. The Mind Eater isn't awake yet. The Dread Sun is just trying to break the last seal. But if You attack now, they'll use your energy to finish the awakening. Gasps echoed in the chamber. Are you sure this is real? One admiral asked. Sierra looked at the hologram of Joren, then closed her eyes. It's him, she said. I'd know his voice, even if the stars burned out. She turned to the fleet. Change of plans. We're not attacking the fortress. We're going in. In the next hour, chaos unfolded. While the main fleet formed a shield wall outside the Dread Sun's orbital gate, Syrah led a small strike team directly into the darkness. No lights, no scanners, only instinct. The ship shook as they passed through layers of forgotten space, and then silence. They reached the core, a ruined world floating in pieces held together by gravity tech and ancient tendrils of black metal. At its heart, a massive vault, pulsing like a living heart. That's the lock, Syrah said. That's where it sleeps. So how do we stop it? The pilot asked. We don't break it, she said. We seal it. She stepped off the ship, alone. Joren was already there. He had made it. Barely. Hiding inside an old Dread Sun scout ship, crashing through orbital defense systems. He limped through the ruins. And then he saw her. She stood in the middle of a glowing platform surrounded by floating shards of memory, each piece of her past returning like echoes. She turned. Their eyes met. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. He walked to her, placed her hand in his. She smiled, tears slipping down her cheeks. You came back. You called me home. But the vault responded. It screamed. The ground shook. Energy surged around them. The Mind-Eater had sensed their presence. But something was wrong. Instead of attacking, it hesitated. Syrah looked around. The fragments floating in the air were not just memories. They were anchors, pieces of history, identity, love, and Joren was the final piece. We can lock it, she whispered. Together. What happens to us? He asked. She didn't answer, but he already knew. He nodded. Then let's do it. They stood together in the center of the seal platform. Light exploded. Visions flashed. Syrah's childhood, her mother's voice, Joren's first day on Laura 7, the night he chose to save her, the moment he almost forgot his own name, but remembered hers. The Mind-Eater screamed. It tried to rewrite them, erase them, but it couldn't, because they remembered each other. And memory, when shared by two hearts, becomes unbreakable. Syrah raised her hand. Joren placed his over it, and together, they closed the vault. Permanently. The stars bent. The blackness cracked. And then, the galaxy exhaled. Days later, the Allied fleet returned home. The Dread Sun was leaderless. Disconnected. Empty. The war had ended before it began, but no one could find Syrah or Joren. Many believed they died sealing the lock. Others whispered they became part of the seal. But the truth. One day, far from the core systems on a green world untouched by war, a small farm lit up at night. A man with rough hands and soft eyes walked beside a woman with glowing violet eyes and a strange past. They lived quietly. No crowns, no weapons, just peace. Locals called them strange, but kind, and when asked for their names, the woman always smiled and said, "He called me Queen, but I just call him home."